Keep standing. Well, Rep, I know we've been sitting for a while, so everybody do me a favor, everybody stretch. Yes. Lean to one side a little bit. Yeah. Lean to the other side a little bit. Good. Now turn to two people around you, give them a high 10 and have a seat. Nice. Awesome. We all need a little stretch every now and then, you know? Are you guys having a nice time? Awesome. I am so excited to be here to launch the We Create Change Tour, to talk a little bit about my story, and also to celebrate all the incredible things that you guys have done. Because at the end of the day, that's why we're here. To celebrate all the amazing work that each and every one of you have done and will continue to do, not only locally, but globally as well. But before we get started, I thought maybe I would address the elephant in the room, and let's just get the awkwardness out of the way, that of course, no, your eyes aren't deceiving you. This is a new shirt. And obviously, I don't have any legs. I was born with legs, but I was born with a genetic disease that caused the muscles in my legs not to work. So at the age of 2, they removed at the knee in hopes that I could use artificial legs and get around that way. But unfortunately, it didn't work out. So then at the age of 5, they removed just below my pelvis, which is basically what you see now. Now, after my surgeries, my family and I were told by the doctors that I would never walk by myself, that I would never sit up by myself, and that I probably wouldn't be a functioning member of society. At best, I would lead an inactive and uninspired life, and my family should get me involved in things like music, reading, and math right away. But my family and I refused to believe that. So we set to prove to not only ourselves, but the rest of the world, that we could start by redefining what's possible for me. Now this is my family behind me. Aren't they cute? Now, when it came time for school, well, before we get into school, what was really great about my parents is they never treated me differently. They always treated me just like everybody else. In fact, I never thought it was different until I went out in public. And every time I went out in public, whether that was to a grocery store or simply just on a walk around the neighborhood, people would point and whisper, and the first 3 questions I used to get, not only as a kid, but even today, are where are your legs, how to use the washroom, and can you drive a car? I mean, imagine coming to an event like this, meeting somebody for the first time, shaking their hand and saying, oh, nice to meet you, how do you use the washroom? It's a bit uncomfortable, right? What I began to realize is that people, they weren't seeing me as a person. They were just seeing me as this guy without legs. So in order to get them to see past that, I had to start answering some of these questions, whether I wanted to or not. So to tell people how I lost my legs, I used the washroom just like everybody else. Thank you for being so concerned. And of course I can drive a car. I've got this brand new Ford Escape that we're going to be driving across Canada with these wicked hand controls. It's really exciting. Now, that's been my challenge my entire life, is getting people to see past this and see what's in here. And I'm just as guilty as anybody else. When we first see each other, we see each other in the physical form, right? Hair color, skin color, how tall we are, all those sorts of things. But it's what we do after that that's important. So of course I don't have any legs, and I'll tell you how I lost them, but I would rather be known for that my name is Spencer West. That I'm an author, I'm a motivational speaker, I'm a son, I'm a grandson, I'm an uncle, I'm a nephew, I'm a human rights advocate, I want to be a dad someday. All of those things make up who I am. Just like all the things that each and every one of you care about make up who you are. Now when it came time for school, I'll be honest, my favorite subjects in school were music, English, and drama. But there were 2 subjects in particular that I dreaded going to every single day. And for those that are teachers, I mean no offense, and those that are students that like these subjects, I also mean no offense. But I was a terrible math student, so I dreaded going to math class every single day. And I also dreaded going to gym class. And the reason I dreaded going to gym class is every single day I would watch 2 team captains. Pick person after person until I was the only one left. And then somebody would finally pick me, but not because they wanted me on their team, but because they had to. When it came time for high school, in order to be considered a good student in my high school, you don't only had to be good at academics, but you had to be a good athlete. So of course I wanted to be considered a good student, so I decided to join a sport, and I thought, okay, well, what sport should I play? And I thought, well, maybe I'll play football. But I thought, well, let's be honest, take that football and turn it this way. We're about the same size. I thought, well, maybe I'll play basketball. But as I learned, it's probably a good idea I didn't play basketball. Shaquille O'Neal said he didn't want me on his team. So I did the next best thing, which seems to be the obvious choice if you can't play these sports. I became a cheerleader instead. Because I figured if I couldn't be on the court, I would do the next best thing and be on the sidelines. But one day while cheering at a basketball game, I heard a girl from the crowd say, "What's Spencer doing out there? This isn't a disabled team." I remember hearing that thinking, wow, that's a weird word to use to describe me. And all that, I got so frustrated. I thought, you told me to play a sport, and now that I'm playing a sport, I'm not playing the right sport? I realized in that moment that I'd allowed other people's opinions to change what I knew to be true about myself. And that all along, I should have been doing what I wanted to do. I spent my entire high school career trying to fit in and trying to do what other people told me I should do. When all along, I should have been doing what I wanted. I did cheerleading for me, and not only did I enjoy it, but I was pretty good at it. And later that year, we went to the Wyoming State Cheerleading Competition, where I'm proud to say that we took first place as the #1 squad out of the entire state. I wanted to show you a quick clip of what a routine looked like, but let me set this clip up by saying that I graduated high school a while ago. So the quality of this clip isn't the greatest. It's really my mom up at the bleachers with one of those old VHS recorders that you hold with 2 hands. But you can still get a sense of what our routine looked like and what we did. Take a look. And splits. Thank you. Now, after I graduated high school, I went on to university, and I studied at Westminster College in Salt Lake City, Utah, because I'm originally from the United States. And after I graduated, I moved from Salt Lake City to Phoenix, Arizona, because I was tired of the winter and I needed some sunshine. Now I live in Canada. So back to the winter. That's okay. Now when I moved to Phoenix though, I had everything that society and the world told me that I needed to be happy. I had a good paying job, I had the coolest clothes, I had a car, my best friend and I had the coolest house, and the reason it was considered the coolest house, at least amongst my friends, is because we had a pool in our backyard. And even though I had all of these things that society and the world and the media tells us that we need to be happy, once I had all those things, I still wasn't happy. And to be very honest, I sort of felt cheated by society. I thought I had everything. And I was looking for a job that not only paid well, but made the world a better place, but I didn't know how to find that. And it was in December of 2007 that a good friend of mine called and invited me to go on a volunteer trip to Kenya to help build a school for Free the Children. And at first I was like, what? I told my friend, I said, remember, standing on my hands, I'm 2'7" tall. I'm pretty sure that's a snack to half the animals in Kenya. And I don't want to be Meals on Wheels, thank you. But my friend told me how through his first trip to Kenya, he'd found happiness and purpose in his life. And that's what I've been looking for. So I decided to go to Kenya, and although it's cliche, it's very honest. It was a life-changing experience. That's where I first learned about Free the Children. I learned about this blonde bombshell, Craig Kilberger, and how he was making a difference, and how he founded Free the Children. And I was there on the ground to see how they were making Adopt a Village come to life by providing education, clean water, health and sanitation, alternative income, and food security. I was so inspired by the work that they were doing, and more inspired that a lot of these projects were being funded by students like you guys here in Canada and the United States. You know, the moment that actually changed my life forever is when we arrived at the Free the Children schools. And literally 300 kids came running out, and they circled around me, and they were laughing and giggling and pointing and talking a mile a minute in a language I had no idea what they were saying. They were eager to give me a tour of their school. And after they gave me a tour, we sat in the grass, and they asked me every question under the sun to get to know me. Where was I from? How did I get here? Where were my legs? Did I leave them in the United States? But at the end, after I'd answered all their questions, a young girl raised her hand. She looked at me, and in Swahili she said, "Sikuja hiyo kitu, ingefanyika wazungukia." And translated into English, she said, "I didn't know that this sort of thing, meaning the loss of my legs, could happen to white people too." And that one phrase fundamentally changed the entire course of my life. That one sentence helped me realize how I could use my story to not only inspire other people to potentially look at challenges differently, but to get involved with something that they were passionate about. At the same time, I thought maybe I could use this on behalf of Free the Children to continue to give back to these incredible students that I now call friends and family. So when I came back to North America, I knew that I couldn't go back to my normal life. It would be an injustice to what I had seen and what I had learned. So I literally sent in my resume, a few months later, moved to Toronto, packed up my entire life, which is still my parents' basement in Wyoming. And I've been working on behalf of Free the Children for the last 6 years, traveling around sharing these stories. I'm also a leadership facilitator, so I run our volunteer trips during the summer, working with students just like you guys in places like Kenya, India, and Ghana. But halfway through my journey with Free the Children, I was starting to feel a bit guilty. Because here I was telling students just like you guys, you need to walk the walk and talk the talk. And here I was talking the talk. But I'd never run a campaign. I'd never done a fundraiser myself. So a couple of years ago, my buddies and I got together, and we came up with this idea to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, the largest mountain in Africa. And in doing so, we launched a campaign called Redefine Possible, where our goal was to raise over $500,000 for clean water in East Africa, who at the time was facing one of the largest droughts they've seen in over 60 years. And in June of 2012, my buddies and I set out to do just that, to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Now the hope was I would do about half on my hands and half on my wheelchair, but when we got to the mountain I was doing about 80% of my hands and about 20% of my wheelchair. Contrary to popular belief, your arms are meant to be walked on, and let's be honest, I can't really afford to lose any more limbs at this point, so I had to rely on my friends for help. They were incredible at saying encouraging words like just a few more steps, keep going. Not only that, but on the days that I was getting tired, they would literally carry me above their head. There were days that they would literally help push me in my wheelchair. One day in particular, one of the porters had wrapped me in a blanket and tied me on his back, was carrying me that way. My buddy Dave, who's in this photo here, who's pushing me, came up behind me and he said, "Look, Spence, I'm only going to say this to you once, but you look really cute." Tied to this guy's back. Now, what I didn't anticipate is that on summit day, around 18,000 feet, the roles would be reversed. And my buddies would need my help. Because you see, they got hit with massive altitude sickness, and I was in that small percentage of people where it didn't bother me at all. We joke it was because of my height, but I don't think that's real. Now I watched my two best friends get headache, dizziness, literally throwing up on the side of the mountain. I watched my support system fall to their knees. And in that moment I thought two things. I thought, well, maybe this is it. Maybe we just give up and go back. It was also the first time in my entire life where I wished that I had legs that day. Because if I had legs, now I could be the one to carry my friends, like they had carried me. But I don't have legs. So instead I did what my parents taught me, and that was to focus on the things that I could do. My friends kept saying, "It's really inspiring to watch you walk," so I thought, that's all that I can do, then I will do that to the best of my ability. I stood in between my two best friends and I said, "Boys, this journey started with the three of us, and it's going to end with the three of us." And slowly, hand over hand and foot over foot, we climbed until we made it to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. Now we did that not only to make sure that we could do it, number one, but also number two, to inspire folks like you guys to recognize that if I, Spencer West, who's told would never walk or be a functioning member of society, can get to the top of the largest mountain in Africa, what more can we all do? On top of that, we ended up raising But as many of you know, poverty doesn't get a summer vacation. Poverty doesn't get a spring break. So last year, again, my two best friends, Dave and Alex, we did something called We Walk for Water, where we walked from Edmonton to Calgary, 300 kilometers, 30 kilometers a day for 11 days. To give you an idea, that's roughly 3/4 of a marathon every single day. To be very honest, this was much harder than Kilimanjaro because we were doing 3/4 of a marathon every single day. Now, my buddies were really great, again, at support and inspiring us, but not only that, we had two women from Kenya, Mama Leigh and Mama Monica, who traveled all the way from East Africa to join us on part of our journey. And these are two women that would be benefiting from these clean water projects. And there was one day in particular when I woke up and I had the flu. And I thought, how am I ever going to walk today? My body was aching, I had a fever, I was afraid I was going to vom on the side of the highway. But when I wanted to give up, when I was struggling to get across that province, I thought back to those mamas and their determination and the challenge they faced every single day to collect water. And with that inspiration to help my two best friends, I kept going, day after day. And I'm so glad that we did. In partnership with Free the Children, we ended up raising enough money to bring clean water to 100,000 people for life. But that's been my journey over the past years. Those are some of the things that I've done to inspire you guys to do some incredible things, like you heard from some amazing youth speakers that are right here from your own province and area. We're doing incredible things. And this year, we're doing something a little bit different. I'm taking a break physically. And to give you an idea of what we're doing, I want to show you a quick video to introduce it.
Okay, so how are we doing this?
Guys, look.
Neverest has a teleportation device.
Okay.
Let's go like Chopper.
Guys, we have...
Neverest has a jetpack.
Oh, what about a hot air balloon?
Guys.
Let's go by a canoe.
Guys! We have this sweet bus.
Hannah's the voice of reason.
Why didn't we think of that?
This spring, Spencer West is launching the We Create Change Tour. Joined by Neverest and Hannah Albert, they're heading coast to coast on a mission across Canada, visiting schools and communities that are making a difference to free the children's We Create Change coin drive. It's all about coming together to do something awesome. Together, we can make a difference, make an impact, and build schools that will change lives for entire communities. So get on board and follow the tour by signing up for We Create Change at freethechildren.com/WeCreateChange.
Starting today, right here, we are launching the We Create Change Tour thanks to our friends from RBC and Driven by Ford. We're literally going coast to coast to thank students like you guys for the incredible work that you've done. I want to bring and highlight all the incredible work that all of you have been doing over the last couple of years and will continue to do. Not only for the We Create Change campaign by helping us build schools, but also all the incredible work that you're doing locally right here in your own cities and your own provinces. We are so excited to jump in that tour bus and start heading across Canada to help all of you celebrate. And I want to personally thank you for all the incredible things that you've done here locally. Now, I've seen the power of education in particular. And the reason that I decided to do this tour is because I was in Ghana this past summer, leading a Me to Be youth trip. And we went to a nearby community called Nyame-Yakrom, and we were going to be touring that community. And we were told that the palm oil industry was important to that region. Now, when we got to the factory, it was literally just a tin roof with 4 poles, and I might have skipped that slide, so there we go, perfect. It was literally just a tin roof with some 4 poles. And there was a slick oil on the ground, and there was a bitter smell in the air, and 2 women sat barefoot. Little kids clinging to them, older kids running back and forth, helping where they could. The guy that was giving us the tour, Mr. Ben, he then turned to us and said, as you can see, the women of this community, this project in particular, the owner makes about 60 CDs a day, which is roughly $30 Canadian. Of that, these women that are working in conditions like this are making less than $1 a day. Then Mr. Ben turned to us and said something I'll never forget. He said, as you can see, poverty is killing us. I'd heard the statistics of the millions of people that were living on less than $1 a day, but that's the first time I'd ever heard it said so simply. Poverty is killing us. I realized in that moment, I'd seen how education overseas has changed community members, how women like that have gone on to be leaders in their community. And I truly believe if those kids at the palm oil factory that day had the opportunity to go to school, that they could break the cycle of poverty for their family too. So for me, that's my other reason for being on this tour, is to continue to build schools overseas with the We Create Change campaign, where we can build 200 more schools in developing communities around the world. Because I've visited some of these communities. I've seen how schools, and there's still 57 million people that are living that don't have education, which is still crazy and blows my mind every time I hear that statistic. And I've seen the schools that they've gone to. This is what the schools used to look like. No walls, no windows, millions of students crammed into these teeny classrooms. But this is what schools look like now. Thanks to Free the Children, the incredible work that many of you will do and continue to do. It's really easy for you guys to get involved and help us on this tour. $20 buys 1 brick for a school, and 1 school is 500 bricks. It's super simple, it's super easy. This is a way that you guys can get involved with We Create Change by rolling those coins and taking them to RBC. So on behalf of myself, Free the Children, Neverest, and Hannah Albert, we are so honored and excited to launch the tour right here at Newfoundland and Labrador. Thank you so much for the incredible work that you've done.